Perhaps if I wear a shirt and a jacket, you will understand that I mean business, so to speak. And you'll take what I'm about to say seriously and not lightly, right? I'm dressed as professionally as I can be. I will comport myself as decorously as I can be. I've just perused a manual that identifies itself as being an official manual from the Department of Defense regarding the law of war. It discusses a number of treaties. I haven't read the entire 1,200 page plus document. I have not. But I've gone through certain areas. And it substantiates certain claims that I've been making actively and literally, formally, on the record, including, if necessary, as needed, either in the public sector, as would need to happen in the public realm so people would have enough information to protect themselves, or through appropriate reporting entities, including potentially even members of elected office who, constitutionally speaking, would be the civilian leadership responsible for checking against any abuse by those alleging that they have authority, even by the president, to determine or say what they're doing is authorized as a military operation and or even under a State Department operation. We are where we are. I'm very certain that the reference point I have is not, in fact, part of backdating, which I contend has been happening for at least a year. At various times, information in what is supposed to be the official public record of the government operations is changed to reflect false information along with intentional misinformation in various public and media sources in acts of securities fraud that every once in a while somebody illegally attempts to cover up and re engineer economically. I've just found what was apparently Department of Defense related investigation and determination concerning directed energy weapons, dated for April of 2007. That would be less than a year after the drawdown from the Strategic Petroleum Reserves that happened concurrent to me leaving Texas and returning to the Chicagoland area. That means the Department of Defense and members of Congress, as well as the President of the United States, that also included both, actually, all of the major contenders during the 2008 presidential season, all of them were already aware that the Department of Defense had that report and had made determinations commensurate with that report in April of 2007, prior to the conventions and prior to the election of 2008. In the manual regarding the law of war, enforced prostitution is defined as slavery. It is not acceptable, even if it is alleged to be a work requirement of a detainee being treated as if they are subject to the laws of detention with regard to the jurisdiction of American operations, including through the military. Military detainees cannot be subjected to sexual slavery. Enforced prostitution is defined as slavery. Now, when you operate within your alleged own country, as if you are in the civilian leadership, you cannot try to cover it up under the rubric of national security, even if you get a unanimous opinion from members of the Supreme Court of the United States. You can't do that. It was prostitution. It was enforced. It was alleged to be anything else except for what it was, prostitution. And even prostitution as a demonstration of loyalty during a time of being subjected to what legally constitutes detention, it is not acceptable. A major question now exists. If you are in the civilian leadership of the United States of America and have refused to allow for an abuse under the auspices that somehow it was justified in association with a military action, for violations that not only violate the rules of war the United States itself agrees to and has let others know it agrees to, but has done so against people in the United States, born citizens of the United States, who were attempted for enticement or extortion into agreeing to cooperate with any other foreign country. You are not justifiably able to identify yourself as the civilian leadership of the United States of America. You are occupiers working on behalf of and in the interest of another country in order to undermine the loyalty and morale of the military by trying to subject them, their families, and their communities to processes that are not only unconstitutional but are unconscionable. And it's not really my fault, to be honest with you, that this has been occurring since before I was of the legal age to enlist or to receive a military commission myself. It's been going on a long time. That doesn't mean it's acceptable. As I see it, we have a very significant problem that needs to be rectified by close of business today. If you had the authority to quash these charges as unjust, I'd be dead by now. But I'm not. And the only reason we're in the situation we are is because we have pretenders that have usurped the government and are trying to legitimize via engagement with what under the laws of war is illegal even by the United States terms concerning munitions and their use during a wartime scenario. All the evidence has already been acquired. You've refused to stand down. You are not representing the people of the United States. And anybody alleging themselves to be a member of the United States Armed Forces that takes an order from these charlatans is implicated in a conspiracy that now it appears goes back, actually not appears, can be confirmed to go back more than 25 years. You may have access to certain modes of overwhelming force. You may be able to completely slaughter and enslave the people of the United States, but you won't be doing any of it as an American. I'm sorry if you're a stateless person because you were too cowardly to actually reveal under whose flag you thought you could get away with doing this. And I'm sorry if you refused to do it because you already pledged your loyalty to alleged civilians working on behalf of interests that were absolutely not American. But you did that nonetheless. You won't go down an American. You won't take down any Americans. I don't know who you are. You should have gotten out of my country while you could. But if you are in any way, shape, or form who you purport to be, you will remove those charlatans by the close of business day today. Every day you don't, all you do is codify your own slave bond, and slavery is unconstitutional. It's against the laws of war, and even in a peacetime situation, there's no justification. If you allow alleged civilians to make you a slave so that you can carry around weapons and murder people in other countries while you cover up for people claiming to be medical practitioners murdering people in this country, we'll get to that tomorrow, unless you do your job today.